Andy, a moon-chasing, manifesting, wander lover, and feel-good aficionado. Consider me your woo-woo best friend. This show is a sacred space for ideas, concepts, and modalities that might be considered taboo, but that I personally find a great magic in. In these conversations, my mission is to inspire confidence, worth, and mystical thinking in our modern world. Let's get into it, shall we? Hi, my friends. Welcome back to the show. This episode is being brought to you from Tulum. I am so happy to be in Tulum this week with a group of magical women here at the Wee Wee Holistic Living Retreat. And this episode is all about a topic we talk about quite often here on your Woo Woo BFF. It's about manifestation. And this particular episode, we have a manifestation that's so good, so good. I cannot wait to have you hear the story. My guest is Tirrell Cherry. Tirrell is a mindset and manifestation coach here to help others rewire subconscious beliefs that are holding them back from clarity, peace, and the confidence to create a life on their own terms. He's your no-nonsense friend that guides you towards self-empowerment, always the voice of reason that says, you can do anything you want to. Let's get to it. Tirrell was recently based in Sydney, Australia, and you're going to hear a story about a real-life manifestation that came to life for Tirrell while in Sydney, Australia. And most recently, Tirrell relocated back to the U.S. and is based in Atlanta, where he will be offering hypnotherapy, meditation, breath work, and tarot services. He's even going to give us a mini tarot reading on the episode. So let's get to it. Meet my friend, and soon to be your friend as well, Tirrell Cherry. Okay, here we are. Welcome, Tirrell. I'm so excited to have you here on your Woo Woo Best Friend. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here. Can't wait to just dive in.
Yes. Okay, so we were just chatting about you just had a really long journey. You just moved from Sydney to Atlanta. How are you feeling?
I'm doing okay today. I feel like, back to 80%. I think a travel like that really just, it takes a lot out. And to move everything, like all of your stuff, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah. So I'm doing okay. I woke up, I was telling you earlier, I woke up at a normal time for me. It was 5:30. And I just was like, okay, I can get back into my meditation. I'm feeling a little more grounded. So I'm excited about the next few days.
Yeah, good. I just moved across the country from New Orleans to LA, and that felt like a lot. And that's just across the country, and you've moved across the world. So
yeah. I feel like any kind of shift like that, where you have to take an assessment of all the things and put them in boxes or, and move them to a place. I just feel like that whole process it's a lot, no matter where it is, sometimes even if it's just like across the street, which I've done before, but just like that assessment process of looking at everything and saying, okay, does this stay? Does this go? Is it worth it? I think that's just a lot of energy. So just figuring it out.
It's so true. We do a practice in one of my courses that we open the week with a week of creating sacred space. So we're basically just Marie Kondoing our lives for a week, and moving forces that at the ultimate level.
Absolutely. I love that too. I use that with my clients too, Marie Kondoing, and I say it for everything. Like, you have to, does it bring me joy? Like when you're looking at the people in your life, when you're looking at the clothes you're wearing, the habits you have, like I think sometimes it's a really good process to look at yourself, to look at your environment and just say, is this it? It's beautiful. And I do it more often than I would like. I'm a a Taurus sun. Um, and but I do move often. I move quite often, I think, than what normal Tauruses would feel comfortable in.
Yeah,
Um,
it's not a normal Taurus thing to be
mm,
Okay, so then go ahead and tell me then what's your rising and your moon too?
so I'm a Taurus sun, I'm a Aquarius rising, and a
Okay.
Pisces moon. So
Ooh.
I am pretty fluid. And I think that's why I do move. And it's funny because in the moving process, it is pretty, it's pretty, I have a plan, I think. I love
Yeah.
a plan. I
So
love
that's
a,
your
that
Taurusness.
is my
Yeah.
Taurusness. Yeah. And what's funny is this move specifically it's kind of thrown me off a little bit because it hasn't been, there really wasn't a plan. There isn't, I was like, okay, I know that I'm going to this area. I
Mhm.
know that I'm going to land in Atlanta. But as far as next steps go, I'm really allowing possibility to unfold. And I think that's where maybe my Aquarius comes through and feels okay in that. And with the Pisces, they're magic and dreamlike and all the things. So I'm just
Mhm.
kind of like, I'm grounding in that. I'm trying not to let anything really mess up my energy.
Yeah. And Jupiter is in Pisces this summer, so that's extra good for you. It's
Yeah.
just really it's going to be extra juicy for you.
Oh my goodness. There's a lot of good things going on, especially in my love department,
Ooh.
which I was reading, and it felt really, yeah, this summer is going to be interesting. This summer is going to be kind of wild. I'm
Do
here
you
for it.
know okay, do you know what sign it for do you know your Venus?
My Venus is in, I feel like my Venus is in Taurus.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like that is because Venus, I'm pretty sure my Venus is very much at home. Um, I should look at that. I should look that up real
I'm
fast.
like, we want to know. We
I
want to know.
I really, yeah, I feel like that's right. It's so funny too. I think there's so much information within the charts, right?
So much.
I'm often like, how do we hold on to everything? And I do know. Oh, okay. So my Venus is in Aries, actually.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Which is also really, all that fire is a yeah, I could feel that for the summer for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Which okay, that does make sense because now it's all coming back to me. Venus in Aries, and I am pretty fiery. Um, it talks about like when you have your Venus in Aries, especially with Aries is pretty active, right? And
Right.
there's a lot of movement, and I think that is how I love.
Mhm.
I don't know if we want to get too far into this, but I've been dating somebody long distance, and
Let's get into it. Like woo woo BFF the love edition.
I know. So I've been dating somebody long distance since January, and we're gonna meet next week.
Oh.
But it was very much those, it was like, ooh, who is this? And just sliding into DMs, and we kind of joke about that now because I am very much the like, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this. I'm
Yeah.
gonna get this. I'm gonna go here. Um, and he's a Pisces sun, double cap, so we
Okay.
operate very differently.
Yeah.
Um, but I know within my like when I really like something, I go for it. I go after it.
Yeah.
And
Venus and Aries. Yeah.
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 So
So have you met in person at all ever yet?
we haven't met like IRL. We've
Okay.
done, yeah, it's been a lot of FaceTime, Zoom
Yeah.
dates, cute Zoom dates, and
Yeah.
a lot of texting. So many
Yeah.
texts.
Okay, so I've been with my partner now, we're approaching 7 years. And we did meet. The very first time we met was in person, but we lived in different places. And he's a musician. He's a touring musician. And our first year, we it was very long distance. He was always on the road. And I mean, and when I say he was on the road, he'd be like in Japan and in Australia and in the UK and and I was not in those places. So I personally feel like when you build a relationship through communication first, we were the same. It was so much texting, so much FaceTiming. When we were together, it meant that one of us had to travel to be with the other one. And so by the end of that first year or so, our communication was so damn good. It was like nothing could shake us.
Yeah.
And it still
Yeah.
feels that way.
Yeah. This is different than I think any of the relationships that I've had in the past, especially because we had to navigate time difference and
Yeah.
he's in New York. So, it was morning chats and then nighttime chats and nothing really in between that. And the communication really being open, being open to just, I guess, saying what you need to say and
Yeah.
not really second guessing it. I think space also
Yeah.
gave us that, the freedom to just be like, whatever,
Yeah.
especially in the beginning. It just really, there was no holds to it. And now that we're in this space where we're actually on the in the same time zone, in the same hemisphere, like,
Mhm.
it feels very surreal and exciting. And yeah, I don't have a lot of, I think, maybe anxieties or worries that I would have had or have had in the past. And I think it has been because we've spent literally 6 months daily chatting, like
Yep.
and knowing somebody as much as you can know about them in
Yep.
this moment, but being really, really excited about the next steps and what that looks like.
So good. I love that for you. That's very much how Ben and I were. It was exactly that. And I realized in that process that, well, at the beginning, we both said, if we're going to do this and we're going to do it this way, we're going to need to immediately be on the same page of what level of seriousness this is, because it's going to be complex to have a relationship this way. And I found that my level of trust in him was completely different from anything I had experienced with people that I had lived in the same city with, because we made that commitment from day one that we were on the same page. We were going to share what was coming up for each of us as we were working through this new relationship, but we were going to be incredibly honest, incredibly open. And that piece about space that you just mentioned, what I loved was that I'm I'm a woman doing things. I've got a lot going on, and I felt that I had this space to really do me and he had the space to do him. And then when we came together, we were able to really celebrate what we were each up to and put things aside to be together, but then we could go back out and do our thing. And that really, for our relationship, once 2 years into it, we moved in together. And so there was no like resentment of like, oh, you got to go do this and not focus on me, because we had started our relationship that way.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. I love
Yeah.
that. And I see when I talk about like manifesting love or manifesting relationships,
Mhm.
I can't remember. I need to really go back and do some detective work on where I found this or who I was listening to when they brought this up, but it's changed the way that I have manifested a lot of different things, especially around love and relationships. And when I see or hear stories like yours, I take it as a sign that like, oh, okay, this is the universe really showing me like what's available,
Yeah.
right? Like this is
Yeah.
the universe showing me or telling me, hey, pay attention, right? Like this is an
Mhm.
opportunity to be grateful for that. I think sometimes people get really caught up in the asking phase of their manifestation. They're stuck in this circular, like, I want, I wish. And then they see other people in relationships, and it creates more of that. I want, I wish. But I have, hearing your story, and I have some other friends who have been married for, I think, 10 years, and their baby is about to turn 2. They met one day on a dance floor and fell in love. And I think one was either, like, one's Australian and one's American, and one half had to leave. And so they ended up getting married within like a month or so or something like that, to be together. And they've been together for 10 years, and they're living this beautiful life. And I see things like that, and I'm like, okay, even if that's not like my story exactly, like, just the seeing it and knowing that there's that stuff out there. The guy that I'm seeing, his parents got engaged within 6 months, and they've been together for 30 something years.
Wow.
There's all of these examples and evidence of people coming together and in their own way. And I just think that's beautiful. So I'm glad that you shared that, because it gives me
I'm
hope.
excited for you. Yeah, no, I love that. It's, oftentimes people are like, oh, well, I can't really do it because it's long distance and I'm not really interested in a long distance thing. And I'm like, do the thing. If you can be in a relationship with someone and trust yourself, trust them, do you work on what you've got going on, give yourself the space that you need to grow, give them the space that they need, and then come together in a way that's like, I mean, every time we saw each other, we were in some new place, and it was like romantic and hot. And it was like, oh yeah, this is totally something I never knew I needed. And so by the time we finally moved in together, we had a really long honeymoon phase, because our whole relationship from the beginning, which I'm sure you're experiencing, it's like every time I got to see him was like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting, for like a year. So it's and for me, Ben was the complete manifestation of everything that was on my list that I could not imagine could be possible. But I kept holding the vision for it. And when I met him, I was like, this is definitely it. And within, I think on our second date, we had the conversation of past lives, and that we knew we had been together and immediately had that conversation. And the fact that I could have that conversation with him on like date 2 over like a bottle of wine was like, do you think maybe we saw each other last time and maybe the time before that? And he was like, oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah. I think we were there. I think that was us.
I love that.
It's like, oh yeah, you get
me. That's amazing. Okay. Yeah. That's so cool. I love that. The list, right? I think that's something that Lacey Phillips has really pushed and monopolized on, and
she's done a good job with it.
Yeah, she's really done a good job with the list. But it's like it's really legit. If anybody's listening and they're like, "What is this?" I've created a list, and it's like, you have to go deep.
Yeah,
you have to go deep into the list. And what I love about also is, taking all the fluff out and just asking yourself, why is it that I want these things? And you said it too, holding out, right? Holding out for what you want, and not, I feel like saying not settling sounds a little harsh, but not rushing,
Right. Yeah.
Being open and saying like, okay, this wasn't the one, this wasn't it. Something that has happened for me in the last, I'd say 3 years of my practice. I've noticed that every relationship that I've gotten into has been like, that was close.
Yeah.
And it was like, next one, oh, that was closer, it's just like inching forward. And so that was really exciting. And I've had to do a lot of change within myself. Luckily, I made a big decision to to unroot and move over to Australia without really an idea about how long I wanted to be there.
Mm-hmm.
That changed a lot of things for me. And as I return to the US, like I'm coming back with a lot of different tools and experience, and I feel completely different. So that was a necessary action to take, I see. And, after all is said and done. And so I think as I've changed, my list has changed as
Sure.
well. Things that I didn't even know I wanted, I now want. And so that completely shifts like who I'm looking for or what I think is relevant.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I really find that
So if
interesting.
someone's new to manifestation, I have like a Lacey's such a great example. She has such a specific process. I have a pretty specific process too. And I really started to understand what my process was around the time that I'd called Ben into my life. There were several things that happened in that same like year that I was looking at and becoming aware of. And when I considered how each of those things had come into my life, I realized it was the same steps I had followed to call those things in. And then I really started to pay attention. Okay, if I do this, do things show up for me? So for you in your practice and when you're working with clients, what's this if someone's new to manifestation, what's the strategy that you share with them to get them started?
So the first thing that I do is really open them up to um, the idea of possibility. I don't think a lot of us, and I heard like, have you heard the Jim Carrey speech where he was talking about his dad? He's talking about how his dad saved and stayed in a job for security. And he says this one thing, and he says, like, we oftentimes hide in security, and I'm not saying this, I'm not doing this justice at all, but he basically says like a lot of us, we strive for the security, we stay in security, and we do it so well that we don't even see possibility
Mm,
as as being possible. We don't even dream big enough, right? We don't allow ourselves to dream big enough, and so we don't go anywhere.
yeah.
um
He has that whole I don't know if it's within that same talk, but he has the thing around that he did around the $1 million check that he wrote
yeah,
himself. Yeah,
yeah,
I've got a $1 million check on my dresser. That's a
I
Jim
love that.
Carrey
Which I should
check.
probably,
Yeah.
I'm probably going to do that too.
Yeah.
But it's like, I start with like, hey, let's just talk about what do you want? Let's talk about what do you want? And let's get down to that and start breaking that down. So what is it that you want? And again, why do you want the thing, right? Because manifestations aren't really, yeah, you want a car, but you want a car for a specific reason, right? You want a car because that's going to give you what? Freedom. That's going to give you, you're going to feel a certain way. And let's really break that down. I do that. There's some tools that I really love. I think journaling. I notice when I journal consistently, when I journal, really regularly, and I keep that practice up, a lot of things go my way.
Mhm.
I don't know what it is. It is magic in the paper. It's the
Yeah.
abracadabra. It's all of it. So I try to get people to at least, hey, let's start here and see how things really turn around for you. um Honestly, talking about mindset is something that I've been using and working on now as a form. I honestly think that when we manifest, we do manifest from, you know the subconscious kind of space.
Yeah.
um beliefs are something that we don't have to think about. It's something that it just runs underneath the hood. We don't see it, we don't think about it, it's just there. We react and respond from it, without even really knowing. And so when we manifest, those things where you say, notice when you are spending money, or you're thinking about money, or you're thinking about creating, or you're thinking about showing up in a different way, just start to notice what happens internally. How do you feel energetically when you feel that first, like, "Ooh, I'm not gonna do it."
Mhm.
These are good indicators of what blocks are slowing down manifestations.
Yeah.
um, I want to try to bring a grounded approach to manifesting, um, which I think is something where our generation of manifestation leaders are really doing, because before, a lot of us started with The Secret, and there were
Right.
some. The Secret is a great starting point, but then it's almost like reading one chapter of a book,
Completely.
right?
Yeah.
And saying, like, I know it all.
Yes. I so
So
agree with that. Yeah, I'm so with you.
yeah, yeah. So that's really where I start. And there's no, I mean, it's not. I'm not here for super tricky techniques
Yeah.
or anything like that. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on TikTok with write down your affirmations 3 times at 3 a.m., 6 times at 6 a.m., 9 times at 9 a.m. I'm like, that is a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And again, that goes in that drags people into a space of non-trust, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
So
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I think that there's a lot of different modalities that we can get into, that all of a sudden we start this superstition, spiritual bypass process on ourselves, when the modality didn't even necessarily send us that direction. We just start to think, oh, well, if I don't do this, then I can't get what I want. Or there's a practice, and I've been in Kundalini teacher training for the last 6 months or so. And there's a practice in Kundalini. There's a Kriya that is all around prosperity. And last year, I did that Kriya for, I don't know, like 120 days. I love it. It's a really intense Kriya. It's a prosperity Kriya, like I said. And I had some really big stuff coming through, but I don't necessarily believe that it came through just because I was doing the Kriya. I think
right.
the Kriya showed me some of my own power and inspired me to be confident in a way that with some specific things that I hadn't really considered before. And because it's a really complex and kind of intense Kriya, I was really noticing that, as Glennon Doyle says, I could do hard things.
Mm,
And I have a girlfriend who just finished doing 40 days of that Kriya. And she said to me, she's like, all that money that came through for you when you did that Kriya didn't come through for me. Did I do it wrong? And
there we
I
go.
was like, girl, that is not that is not at least how I believe this works. And we talked about all the shifts that she had experienced during that 40 days. And my recommendation to her was to focus on the things that had come through and just stay on the path,
Yeah.
because all of our timelines for whatever it is we're calling in are completely different.
Yeah.
So,
I absolutely love that. And you hit something on, um, it was, really think about, or just focus on what you have now.
mhm.
Focus on what you have now, right? Like, focus on the money that you have right now. Focus on the abundance that's coming through right now. Focus on the relationships that feel enjoying,
Yeah.
like that fill you up with joy. Focus on that now. Um, and that's how, you really are directing your attention towards the thing, right? You're keeping your eye on that prize. I feel like I'm starting to channel like that, the Abraham Hicks, like, don't focus on what you don't want, focus on what you do want. But it really is just focusing on what you already have, because the more you focus on what you do have, right, the more the universe is going to, I guess, provide you more of
Mhm.
that. It's really the reticular activating system that I love talking about within our, our minds, that I always say is the filter, right? The reticular
Yeah.
activating system is, when you're looking for, it's one of those things where you're going to buy a blue car or whatever, and you start seeing that car everywhere,
Right.
right?
Right.
It literally is it's when you learn a new word and all of a sudden people are just using that word, or a manifestation is coming up and you're like, I found myself on this podcast and we're talking about exactly what I needed to hear right now.
Right.
Like that is the reticular activating system at play. It's showing you everything that there's a part of your brain that's showing you, directing you and leading you to things that says that it feels you feel are important. And
Right.
so that's, if I could break down what that means when people say focus on what you want, I really think that's the thing, right? Like, let go of what you don't have. There's no wrong way. I don't believe, except for not doing, and maybe sometimes not doing is the best, right? Letting go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Do you find that when you ask people to share with you and your practice when you're working with someone what they want, that oftentimes they're not yet thinking big enough
oh yeah, for sure.
because they don't
Um,
believe they can actually have what they actually want?
Yeah, I had a
Yeah.
client, and she won't mind me sharing this story because I'm so proud of her and she's super stoked. But I had a client who I had known for years. We like worked together years and years and years, ages ago. Anyway, she came to me and we started working together. And at the time, she was doing what she liked her job. Okay, she was working with animals. She's like a huge animal advocate, and she loved being around animals, but she didn't feel love for the job, you know. And she felt really stuck and felt like something needed to change, but she just wasn't sure what needed to change or what she was gonna do. And we sat down in that initial call, and I said, just started asking her questions like, "What is it that you want to do? Um, what did you love to do, or what do you like to do? What do you want? How do you want to feel?" These kind of questions, and it was within that first call that she had this like, I feel like I want to get back into fashion. I never really pursued that. I went to school for fashion, and I just never really thought of it as like a viable career. And um, we through my container, she went from working at this vet to launching her own vintage clothing line.
Wow.
Yeah, and she has since quit the vet. Her clothing line is, it's a launch, and so every day she's feeling inspired. She's doing photo shoots with her clothes. She was getting her, she was just getting the website together and getting the logo and the inspiration about it. And now, one of the things she said to me was like, I never even knew I could do this. And you kind of said it too. Like, now I know I can do hard things. Like, all of the stuff that were coming through, and one session, she was like, I need to buy this and I need to buy that. And I was like, well, let's just go on Amazon and look at it. And she's like, oh, this is cheap. I thought this was going to be, it's like all of these things that were coming up that she just thought were way out of the realm of existence for her. And so much so that she didn't even lift the top up to
Right.
check it out, And
Yeah.
so I think that's what I try to do. I really try to say like, hey, why not? I I left, I was a hairstylist for a while and kind of felt that ping too. And I live by my gut instinct, right? I'm like, I don't feel this anymore,
Yeah.
And I just kind of followed my nudges and went into fitness and thought maybe I'll try this and maybe I'll try that and we'll see what happens. And before I knew it, I was working for Soul Cycle and moved to San Francisco and met people who were traveling to Australia every year. And I went with them one year and then was offered a job. And, you know, it's just like all of these things happened in my life that I never really thought, never even saw as a possibility, but just
Right.
following the nudges, right? And being able to, I really like that term, just like lifting the top up and looking down and saying like, what's in there? You know, what can I see?
Yeah.
And checking that out, I think is what I try to help people do.
So important. I love it. So beautiful.
Thanks.
Such good
Yeah.
work. Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And following those nudges, when we pay attention, the universe has so much for us.
We have no idea what's around the corner, you know,
Yeah.
zero. And so it's like, why not? Why not? You know,
Yeah.
I was on a game show that never would have happened if I wasn't an American living in Australia, you
What
know?
was the show? Now we have to go watch it.
I was on a game show called Name That Tune. And
I totally watched all the episodes.
did
So I
you?
definitely, yes.
I was on episode 8.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely saw you because I love Randy Jackson and Jane.
Yeah, I was on episode 8. And what was really funny is I had written down in August of last year that I wanted to call in $50,000.
Did you win?
Yeah, I won $51,000.
Oh my God. Yes. Yes, it's like universe, $50,000, please. It's like,
Yeah.
here's Randy Jackson. Randy
Yeah.
Jackson and Jane.
And Jane
will give you
Krakowski. Yeah, we'll give you
Krakowski.
$51,000. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, I definitely, now that I'm like thinking back, I definitely remember seeing you on the show. Yeah, Ben and I watched every episode because we were like, this is so fun.
Yeah. It was a really cool experience. And yeah, I remember telling my mom after, and she was like, what? And she's like, what is your life? And I'm like, I know, right? And
it's so great. It's so great.
It's amazing. And I think that like when you can look at the magic of really all the things that happen for us, we can see how these little tiny steps that we take really take us to that next moment, the next space, or whatever the case may be. And I think that's why even now I've taken that. When I talk to people about where I am, you know, one of my best friends today was asking me what I was going to be doing, and I was like, I'm in a free fall right now, you know, and I'm here for it. Like, I know that this is a moment of like transition for me. This is a moment for change, and this is a moment that I'm going to be using to help my clients in the exact same thing, because this is what when I do my tarot readings, when I do my coaching with clients, like I always talk about, hey, like we can't sit in like fear. And if anything has taught us about anything, you know, the last year and a half, it's like, what is security, right? Like what is
Yes.
stability? What you don't know for certain is what's going to change, you know? So you might as well do something, do what you want to do, and don't waste time like trying to see the future. Like just go for it. That's the only way that I think you're going to be able to manifest with precision, or manifest what you want and manifest what you need. I think that's the beauty of where we are right now. So many people are making changes in their lives.
Yeah, and that's the one thing we know for sure, is that we're not in charge, and change is always going to come our way. Always.
Yeah, always.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah. So it's funny because I kind of feel like manifestation, like the word, is getting an upgrade too. It's getting kind of like a shift and change as people start to realize their own power. You know, because we live in this universe that we're connected. You know, if I'm part of the universe is me, I am it. Like when we can really harness that idea, that notion, and start to live through it and just trust and breathe and say, like, I got this. I think that we can really start to make a lot happen. But for some reason, we see other people who are succeeding, or we see people making changes in their lives, and we automatically say, like, that can't be me.
Right.
And it's like, nah, no, let's shift that. Let's shift that program. Let's rewire that, and start telling ourselves the new I cans, the yeses. I love a good yes. Right.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah. And I love the story. I love your Name That Tune story. It's like, it's almost as if the universe sometimes gives us these little winks. It's like, okay, $50,000. I'm calling it in. And then it's like, you win this game show and win $51,000.
Yeah.
So it's like, here you go. You can do that. Now, what else do you want? What else are you going for?
And that's,
set the goal higher.
Yeah. And legit, that was the thing that I did realize too. And I had to go back and read like why I really didn't have to go back, but I did go back to look at just like exactly what I was calling in the 51K for and what I was going to do with it. And I'm holding myself accountable to it, and saying like, this is what I said I would want. This is what I wanted to do with it. So I'm going to do it. Right. And I think it can be, I just feel like that's what needs to happen, so that the more trust I put into that moment, the more I get, right? You kind of build that relationship, right? And yeah, sometimes things aren't going to work out the way that you thought they would, or the way that you wanted them to. Mm-hmm. I tell you what, I did not. I was like, moving to Australia was not as expensive as moving back. Like, it was not. But I also was like, clearly, I have the funds, I have the space, I have the time. I am capable of doing all of this, and I'm doing it. It's done, And so I feel aligned and okay with that. I lost my train of thought with that. But I think that the more that we can really say, or like you said, recognize the winks and be like, thank you, universe.
Yeah. It's so true. It's so true. I find that happens. I find that just when you pay attention, that is kind of the fun of it all. I had a goal a little while back in which there was this number that I wanted to hit in my business. I wanted to make X amount of dollars per month. And I'd set this goal, and about 6 months into working this process, working towards this goal, I hit the number. So I was like, yes, I hit the number, the goal that I'd set, I hit the number. And of course I was taking all sorts of inspired action along the way. And I remember sitting down that month and being like, universe, F yeah, we did it, hit the number. The next month, I got a new contract with a new client, and that deal was the exact number that I had been trying to reach for a month in one contract.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So I got that. I got they wired me the money, the payment, like the first week of the month. And all of a sudden I was like, I just hit that number in 1 week.
You know why too? Because you hit it. You hit it previously, right? And so you like leveled up.
Yeah, completely. I was like, oh, that was easy.
That
got
was
it.
easy. Yeah. And it's so funny too, because when I was calling in the 50,000, I was like, I can do this, right? Like, I'll really push myself out there in market and get clients and do these things and yada, 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 right? It's like, I can get this and make this happen in X amount of time. And then the game show appeared, and I was like, I could win $100,000, and coming out of it, I realized that, my energetic set point was 50K.
Right.
And that's why I tapped out at 50K. Yeah, I got what I wanted, but I got what I believed, I got what I was aligned with. And that really showed me. And I've been looking back now and or I've been working forward now and reassessing my money blocks, if you want to call it that, or just maybe my
Sure.
money blueprint. You know what I mean? You know, what that underlying belief system is, my relationship to money, and how I level that up. I know that, okay, 50K is like that's my, what is that? My base point, right? My
Right.
jump
That's
off.
the baseline
That's the
now. Yeah.
baseline, right? So that's going to be easy to call in that next number, right? Where I really have to work at it and yada, yada, yada. That's the level up. And I love that. And I think something that I'm going to be implementing too within my process of manifestation, right? Or like understanding where your blueprint is, understanding where your love relationship is, right? Understanding where your money relationship is. That's something that I've been blown away by. Like, oh, when my money, like the relationship with money looks like this. No wonder, no wonder we have these kind of things happening, or whatever the case may be. And awareness, right, is the most powerful thing that you can have, because when you're aware, then you can really start to change and shift the thing. And I guess that's what I mean by like bringing a grounded approach to manifestation, really understanding all of these other components to how we use energy, money, love, clothes and stuff, like whatever it is that that is available to us in this 3D realm, how we operate with it and navigate through it. So I love that, because now you see that new set point and you're like, okay.
Yeah, truly. Now I'm like, oh, you want to work with me? This is what it costs.
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you what it costs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that feels
that
so
happens,
good.
It so does. It happens one time and you're like, oh, right. I am absolutely worthy of that.
I'm working with a coach right now and she's like, you're going to raise your prices. And I was like, and I was like, okay. She's like, but this is going to be really good for you, and I believe that it's kind of that pressure, right? To say like, okay, if I'm leveling up, other things are leveling up too. And not only are like my services going to be upgraded, but the people in the people that I work with, they're going to be upgraded in such new and abundant ways, right? Because I honestly believe that too. Like as I level up and I bring people into my vortex, right? Like I bring people into my little circle, they start to up level and see those shifts. And I see that with all of my clients. I had a client who he manifested like $25,000 in like 2 weeks or something. It was insane what happened. It really was just because he finally like stood up for himself, right? And yeah, he asked for money that was owed to him that he wasn't asking for before, right? And then other projects started coming through, and all of this stuff just really worked for him. I had another client who she wanted to really do her own thing, and she was a makeup artist, but she was working retail, and she's now like a clinical esthetician and doing photo shoots and working on her own schedule and just living and loving her life in that way, right? Like there's so many stories that I have of people who I've just, been able to come through, and we get together and have a laugh and talk about the universe and talk about experiences and what we want, right? And really pushing through and going through and leveling up so that you can't go back. There's no turning back, right? Because you've already leveled up.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love it. Such good work. Such good work. So important. Okay. So I wanted to do one more thing before we get into our 5 questions. I wanted to pull a tarot card for our listeners. So I can see you. You can see me. They can't see us because this is a podcast. And I'm over here shuffling my deck.
What kind of cards do you have, by the way?
I just have the deck I have in front of me right now is the classic Rider-Waite deck. So I've got, my classic deck. I love this deck. I use it all the time.
Yeah.
For anyone who's listening, who's like, I'm thinking about getting into tarot, I find this to be a really good starter deck.
Oh yeah, for sure. Same. I was using some like whimsical, like mermaid deck.
Love a mermaid deck.
When I first started. Oh yeah, me too. When I first started, but I could not connect. I couldn't get it.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing. I could not get it. And so I ended up getting the Rider-Waite, and immediately, all of the trainings and stuff like that, I could now relate to. And
Yeah.
I've had the deck that I've had for almost, I think a decade now. And I just have such a strong connection and bond to them. And yeah, I think if anybody's looking to start tarot, get with the Rider-Waite and allow the images to kind of run through. All of the teachings that you find anywhere will reference the Rider-Waite, so it'll be super easy.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. It's, for me, I noticed that I've been using Rider-Waite for many, many years, and I still find new symbols on the cards that I didn't notice before.
Yeah,
I
for
still
sure.
have things that I'm like, oh, there's the message I didn't see before. And and like you said, there's so much good training on this particular deck. I had started with a really beautiful Mayan deck, and I loved it. And I still use that deck sometimes, but there was no training on the deck. And so there was one book on the deck. And so I'd have to, every time I used that deck as I was learning, I would have to go and read 5 chapters to try to find what I was trying to find. It's like, I'm never going to learn this.
Yeah.
So when I bought my first Rider-Waite deck, when I bought this deck, my training and my understanding, it was just so much easier because there's so much good information on this particular deck. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to pull a card for our listeners, and I'll let you share a bit about this. We haven't done this on the show before, so I'm excited to do this. Okay, here we go. Speaking of money.
I know. Okay, we have the Four of Pentacles, and I love the Four of Pentacles. And just to describe this is a man sitting. He has 2 large coins under each foot. He's holding a large coin, and he has a coin at the crown of his head. And what I say about this is, the Four of Pentacles is really telling us to be open, to release and let go. I always say, hey, if you have your arms, when we talk about manifesting, right? If you have a closed kind of energy around something, if you're not willing to let something go, how do you expect to catch the newness that's coming through, right? And so a lot of us, when we look at money, right, and say I must save everything because I don't know when that next coin is going to come through, right?
Yeah.
Now,
he has no arms open to catch new coins.
No arms open to catch new coins. He couldn't catch anything if he wanted to. Couldn't even get up because he's standing on those 2 coins. And now this isn't just about, money. This is about, when we think about Pentacles as an earthy sign, right? It's about material. It's about the life we live, right? It could be about our beliefs and things like that. What are we holding on to too tightly that we don't realize is holding us back from receiving?
Yeah.
And I think
it's a really good message for the collective right now.
Yeah.
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 The beliefs piece especially.
Yeah.
What are you holding on to so tightly that you can't catch something new?
You can't catch something new. And I think that's the thing. When we're able to say okay, I can let this go, right? Or I can at least turn around for a second. You never know really what's going to come through for you when you have more of an open energy. And so I really when that card comes out, I'm always telling people, hey, you got to loosen up. Loosen up.
I'm hearing it. All right, everybody, we got to loosen up. Also, it's we're going into summer, Jupiter and Pisces. It's hot girl summer through and through. Everybody get loose.
Everybody. I love that.
Yeah. It's we can go out and explore the world again in some capacity.
Oh,
we can go and be with friends and family again.
Yeah.
We can do all the things we've been.
I feel like I came back at the right time too. So
yeah.
It's almost 90 degrees in Atlanta, but
yeah. Summer in the South.
Summer in the South.
I know it well.
Yeah.
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 I know that.
New Orleans,
I know it well.
for sure.
Yep. But I particularly love a summer in the South. It's like humid and you can't wear very much clothes because you're just going to sweat through it all. And you
Yeah.
just kind of like get out there and like glisten and glow your way through the summer.
I love it. I actually, no, okay. I don't love it, but I do love the glow aspect.
Yeah.
I sweat too much to actually be like, to enjoy it. But I was on a Zoom call yesterday and I was just like looking at myself. And I was like, oh, I have this great glow, you know? I'm just like, I feel very, I feel very Venus-y, Aphrodite-ish. It's amazing. So
yeah, I'm excited for you.
thanks.
It's gonna be a really awesome experience being there.
Yeah, I feel it. I feel, things are changing, things are shifting, and again, for the longest time I was putting the wrong time on my birth chart. And so it was like Taurus sun, Aries rising, Pisces moon. And I was like, this doesn't really make sense. And I realized later on, looking at my birth certificate correctly, that I had the wrong hours. So that just shifted things. And I think now being super open and being in just like this we came out of a new moon, we had a solar eclipse, a lunar eclipse, we have had retrograde, we've had all of these things happening. I moved on June 10th. I moved on the new moon solar eclipse, and it's just like, I'm here for it. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm open.
Perfect. Okay, so I have 5 questions for you to close out our time together. We've been doing 5 questions for this 5-year, and the first one is, tell us about an object or charm that is special to you.
Okay, so I am currently wearing a sodalite crystal in necklace form. And I have with it a moldavite.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it's special to me because I really set this intention to create clarity and to do the thing that I needed to do, right? Without too much hesitation, without too much heart-wrenching like worry and blah blah blah. And so I feel like these crystals have actually really helped. So the sodalite really helps you tap into your intuition, and the moldavite amplifies that. Moldavite has been known to create shifts and change for you. So if anybody's listening and they've been on that TikTok spiritual realm, they know moldavite like went through the ethos and was just like tore through people's lives. So that's really special. But also this is a sister necklace for my boyfriend who lives in New York. And I sent these 2 to him. And so it's just like really cute. And I never really get too sentimental about things. So this is like one of the first things that I've gotten really like precious about.
I like it. Okay. What is a book that changed your life?
So I would have to say, so it's not really a spiritual book.
That's okay. We can have all sorts of things change our lives.
Yeah. So there's an author called Chuck Palahniuk, and he did Fight Club. Yeah. But his book is called Invisible Monsters. And it really had me look at the world in a different way. The story is a bit bizarre. It's about a model in LA, and she has a tragic accident, and she meets like a gay bestie who's like, girl, you're fine. He like dresses her up in this, she walks around with like a veil because she's just like messed up. And they have like a really wild time, but his writing, Chuck Palahniuk's writing, is so profound. And like some of the things that he just says in it, if you know, kind of like, if you remember the wording or just the verbiage in Fight Club, like it's
Yeah.
all of that. And I must have been maybe 25, and I was really looking for change, really looking to like move around in the world. And I felt very different. And I felt, I struggled with my identity. I struggled with self-esteem. And this book is really about overcoming all of that. It's about, I was going to say people supporting each other, but like it is and it isn't. It's a fun read. It's really quirky, and it speaks to my weirdness, I think.
I
But
love that you chose something that isn't a spiritual book, because I think oftentimes on the show, of course, we get a lot of good spiritual books, but the reality is, to be a fully formed human being, we're often tapping into art forms in all sorts of ways, in all
yeah,
sorts of different genres, and books included, of course.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, of course, like I feel like oftentimes we've I struggle with, have I read a book that maybe people haven't read or haven't heard of, or there's so many books out there, but this was a book that's really personal to me. I got the cover, like there's like this tattoo of it right here, and
Yeah. Amazing.
it's an optical illusion. And
So cool.
yeah, so it just like really, it's one of those, I've dragged this book around with me from New York to San Francisco, Australia. It's here now, like I bring it with me, and
Yeah.
it's one of those books that take me back to being like in my 20s and really feeling like coming into myself.
Yeah. That's a good companion. Good companion to
Yeah.
bring with you. Okay. The next question is, tell me about an experience or moment that changed your life in a profound way.
I went to a retreat. I talk about this all the time, so this is why this was like so easy. Um, I went on a retreat in 2014 to Nicaragua, and I had this was right before I was already starting to feel like, oh, there's a shift happening. And I experienced breath work for the first time. And my grandmother had passed away probably maybe a year or two before. And I always thought of her later as like a butterfly. Like, I don't know, she just always had this, she always helped me be, she was like, do your own thing, go out here and live and travel, and, you can do it. Um, and she came to me in this breathwork session. This little butterfly came like flowing over and was just like, hey, um, you have to just like trust yourself and leave if you want to leave, or do the thing that you want to do, change if you want to change. And this was like February of 2014. I came back, went back to New York. I ended up quitting my salon job. It was like I was just like, it was such a profound moment for me, because I'd worked so hard to be at this salon and worked so hard to be a hairstylist in the West Village, and was, at my age, just felt very successful. And I left, had half a plan. And that was, from the moment that I quit that salon until the end of the year, I had made such a big shift that it was February the next year, 2015, that I had worked at SoulCycle, went into training, and was being transferred to San Francisco. So within a year of that breathwork session, I had completely shifted my life, like
Wow.
totally.
Ah, so profound.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 4 is, what is something that you do for your health and wellness?
I, well, meditation for sure.
Mhm.
Um, Meditation, and I really love to, I mean, I guess because working out is such a lifestyle for me, that's something that I those are meditation and working out are just, it's like putting on clothes. It's not, it's something that I will probably,
you just do it.
Yeah. So, but I will say, as far as like food goes, every now and then I allow myself to have what I want to have. Especially I was feeling a lot of different energy in this move, in this shift. And there were times that I just wanted to have like, there was like this chicken sandwich on a donut bread or something. And I was like, I'm mostly vegetarian, but I am feeling like I need something that like will just like knock me out of this energy and like put me in just like, I just want to sit down and be in my feelings. And I did that and it felt great and I loved it and I ate it and life was perfect.
Yeah. I mean, and if there's a chicken sandwich on a donut bread available, you should probably test it out.
Right? I was like, who says no to that? I never had that. And it was so good. So I think that's something for my health and for my mental health. And, it's just like, relax, be compassionate with yourself. And, don't go ham on crazy foods, but like, allow yourself to do something and just like be easy, be gentle.
Yeah. Yes. Such good advice. Okay. Last question is this. Tell me about a moment you knew magic was real.
Besides manifesting $51,000.
I mean, that was pretty magical.
That was pretty magical. A time that I knew I mean, that I will say that's one of the things where the proof is like right there. Like I wrote it out, I put it down. I was listening to Think and Grow Rich and I was like really putting pen to paper and putting my skin in the game and doing all of that stuff. And it worked.
Yeah. In a big way.
In a huge way. There's so many different things like, I manifested salons like that I wanted to work in, when I moved to Chicago with zero idea of like what I was going to do, I was like, I know I'm going to work at this salon. And I'd sent my resume in a couple of days before moving and they responded back and said like, no, we're not available. We just hired a bunch of people, but we'll let you know. And I ended up moving anyway. And I was like, I'm going to work here. I'm going to work here. I'm going to work here. I am going to work here. And I ended up getting a call from them like a week after I arrived. And they were like, hey, we have an opening. And I like, these are little things like, it's stuff like this, I'm like, I feel like every day something magical really does happen. But the 51K is going to be my strongest. That's like
that's pretty good.
That's my number one. It's like super most recent. And it just felt so so good.
It's so great. I have to go back now and watch your episode again. Okay, tell me, this is not on the list of questions. Tell me one of the songs that you had to know that you were like surprised that you knew.
Danger Zone, I got really quickly. And I was like, yes. I was really like, I was really, really proud of it because this isn't like radio. This is playing on a piano or something,
right.
It's like live band. I also got easy like Sunday morning. I got that, but I didn't. I got the name wrong. Like I said, easy like Sunday morning, and they were like, you cannot add any extra to. So it was just easy, and I ended up getting it wrong. But I also was like, I got that in I think 3 or 4 notes, and I was really proud of myself for that. And that was impressive. Like ding 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 ding, and I was just like.
Yes.
So I was really proud of myself for that. But Danger Zone, I got real fast and I was like, ooh, come on. I'm glad I was born in the 80s. Like, just like.
Yeah, we would watch the show. So Ben he's a piano player. He plays keys. And so we would watch, and yeah, if I was like able to get one in like 4 or 5 notes, I was like, I need to go on the show. And I need to go on the show. And he, of course, thinks Randy Jackson is so cool because Randy Jackson is so cool.
Yeah.
So it was really fun to watch.
Yeah. You know, adrenaline is real and it messes with your brain. I had to practice my breathing exercises really like consciously and like in the moment, but it's real. Like, yeah, you don't realize like once things start going, how you're just like, that whole statement, like, I know the song, but I don't know the name. Like that is, man.
It's so great. I love it. Okay, this has been so much fun. I'm so glad we got to do this.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
So tell us, if someone wants to find out more about your work or wants to book a session with you, what's the process? Where can they find you? Tell us all the things.
I feel like I'm so findable. But Instagram, Tirrell Cherry. I have a YouTube under Tirrell Cherry. I'm on Facebook under Tirrell Cherry.
All the places.
Yeah, all the places. My website is tirrellcherry.life. But if you go to my Instagram, if you find me on Instagram, you can book a session through there super duper easily. I offer tarot readings and clarity calls, which from there, it's a free clarity call that helps us just figure out if you're looking for either hypnosis or a coaching call. And it's all pretty easy. Literally type my name in. You will find me like no other.
The internet does its job.
I know. It's, Tirrell Cherry is a pretty unique name, I think. So,
Perfect.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
It's been awesome.
Yeah. I really appreciate it.
You guys, how incredibly cool is Tirrell's story? Hey, universe, I'll take that $51,000. That's what I was looking for. I love when that happens for someone. I'm so excited for him. I can't believe I hadn't put it together that he was on Name That Tune when we booked him on the show. I'm so excited to know that now because I'm definitely going to go back and watch his episode again and see all the songs that he was able to get right on the show. Okay, if you loved this episode, we love when you share it on social. Give us a shout out on social. We love to see that. Your Woo Woo BFF is our Instagram. Mine is Wee Wee Girl. And if you haven't yet left us a review, reviews mean the world to us. It helps us to grow the show in such a great way. We're a small team. We're working really hard to bring you awesome new stuff every single week. So we'd love to have a review if you have not yet left us a review. I'm going to get back to all the happenings here on the Tulum retreat. And with that, we are complete for today. Sending you all so much love.